Good morning, everybody. This is Lainey from Hilltop Home Place. I'm actually outside today to have a work day today. I've kind of blocked off today and told my husband, be comfortable, watch TV. I'm going outside. I've got to get some things done. What has happened that is different from before is we've had a break in the weather. We had some rain come in. We actually didn't get rain at our house. My mom did. They got a lot of rain where she lived. We got like a whole night before and then all day yesterday of drizzle, which actually, if I could custom order it, I would do it that way every time. It was just a drizzle rain. It would stop and like just drip out of the trees for a few hours, and then it would come back and just drip. When we went somewhere yesterday, I've had my wipers on, just the intermittent, but we haven't gotten this big rainstorm, but we've gotten some wetness and I love it. I love it. It's actually just made me feel so much better about my yard, even though my yard is horrible right now. I'm talking about horrible. Let me just show you what I'm dealing with. I basically just shut down. I shut down about the beginning of July. I realized what was going on. We weren't going to be getting rain. We were going into that stage where everything was dying. And I just decided, to harvest what I could, whatever the plants wanted to put off of things, but not to fight it. I fought it last year and I exhausted myself. This year, I just said, I'm just going to let it go. So I kind of let things go. I only harvested some peppers and different things, some dried beans for seeds and stuff that I had been working on. So I had things coming in a lot, and I actually am still getting some peppers, but in general, everything dried up. I've talked about it and it was just bad. It was bad. And I got no yard work done because I didn't want to work out in the broiling heat that would not go away even until after it got dark at night. It just stayed hot and humid. So I just gave into it. I did other things. But today I'm back out in it. Let me just kind of show you my yard though and what I need to get done. And I'm gonna probably shut the camera off, work a while, and then I may give a little update on what I actually got done. Because if I don't set goals on things, I don't get things done. I notice on a lot of channels that people do things, try things, and then maybe a year or so later they change things. And I get it. That's actually what I'm gonna do this year. When we first moved onto this property, I had our friend till up a little strip here, and I put the T-post, and I made a little bed area where I could plant things. And I've actually planted a lot here. I got a lot of lima beans out of this last year. I had tomato plants all along here. And this year I had the Appalachian pole beans. I got a whole lot of those that I saved for seeds. And it's been fine. I had some Waltham butternut squash and everything down here, and it's been fine. But I'm gonna dismantle this bed. I actually like the way it looks when I'm pulling up when things are growing. When things aren't growing, it looks terrible. It just looks like a bunch of T-posts sticking up, which it is. I'm gonna take the T-post down, which of course will involve taking all that string off and everything. Not a big deal, just get scissors and take all that off. But I'm getting rid of it just to basically make it easier to mow. You hear all those cicadas or locusts or whatever that is? They have been going crazy around here the last few days. They've been going crazy. But I'm actually trying to simplify my life for myself even more than I have been lately. To that end, I'm also going to be taking down this garden bed that's along the side of my driveway, a little farther up than that other bed. And I already started actually. I took down all the chicken wire that I had around all these posts, and I took down the white post. All I have left are T-posts to pull up. I have not done that yet because of how hard the ground was and how dry it was and how I just wasn't out here working. So now I'm gonna do that. I'll probably skim off a little more of this dirt and move it somewhere else, but I'm shutting this bed down too. The fact of the matter is my son isn't gonna be home as much anymore because of a job that he took. And I'm gonna be really the only one mowing from here on out. Last year I mowed a good bit because of his work schedule. This year he mowed almost exclusively. I think I may have mowed one time this whole year. So I've been blessed this year because he was around and had days off, and he just loves mowing. So he took care of it. But he's not going to be around as much anymore because of a big work schedule change he's gonna have with the new job and everything. So that's great, and I'm happy for him. But I'm going to try to kind of eliminate any extra beds I need to tend to. I'm probably slimming down the amount of actual footage that I'm gonna have to garden next year. These beds made me happy when I first put them in. I enjoyed them. I liked having them kind of lining my driveway. When I was driving up, I could see all my plants growing. It made my heart happy. But I have to also maintain them. You have to kind of weed them every now and then. You have to walk around when you're harvesting to all kind of different beds to harvest. And next year, I'm just gonna have to simplify. I'm going to have to simplify to make it easy on myself. I can just see that if we get heat year after year like we've been getting, and maybe I notice it more because I'm gardening now. Maybe when I used to work, I didn't notice it as much. But since I'm home and I could be out here during the day, but I don't want to be because of our extreme heat here in South Louisiana, I guess I'm noticing it more now. And I just want to make life a little bit easier on me. I want to have my gardens, but I don't want them to run me. I kind of want to run them a little bit. And that's just me being honest. So I'm going to take out that bed that you can see behind me. I'm going to take out this bed that I'm standing by right now. And I'm going to review everything else that I have around here and just see. We're just going to see. Let me show you a little bit more, and I'll kind of explain to you where my thought process is. This is a big old mess right now, but this is my corn patch. Last year I grew a whole bunch of different landrace style sweet corn here, saved seeds from that, plus we ate a lot of it, so it was really good. And then down here I had my Onavino field corn, and I grew that strictly to save seeds from, and I have a lot of those. I've got some bagged up for neighbors, and I still have a whole bunch of those seeds. More than I need, really. I probably could grind some of it. But obviously I have not come out here and taken down these stalks. Probably wouldn't take 30 minutes to clean this garden, but I just haven't done it. Now it would take more than 30 minutes to get some of these weeds out. And that's another thing that is just going to take me some time. However, I am going to keep this garden when it is weeded, when it is cleaned out of debris. It's a good little patch. It's the width of my neighbor's tractor. He comes down here for me and he hits it with his disc, and he makes me just a great little gardening area. And this is something that he doesn't mind doing. He's willing to come down here and do it for me. And when it is cleaned up, as I said, and I row things up, it makes a great little gardening area. To the right of that corn patch, if you swing around, I have this whole area that was under my tree here, kind of in the area of my tree. It's right on the other side of my azalea row. I had all this planted this year. I had it T-posted up and covered with chicken wire to keep the squirrels out. And I did get a whole lot of tomatoes out of this. I've got some okra growing there right now. That has been looking terrible, but since we got rain, it's all of a sudden coming back with blooms. Getting little okra blooms on everything, and these okra plants have just started looking lush in the last couple of days. So maybe I'll end up getting some more okra. I've only got spotty harvest of okra this year, but maybe I'll get some more. I think my decision here is going to be that I'm going to leave my azalea row. It's already in place. I've got wire holding all those azalea branches up. They're holding up well. They're not breaking or anything. They're holding up well. And I can grow lots of pole beans there. I think I'm going to leave that. And then I might just eliminate this whole row right here and let grass come on back up into this area, and just let grass come back. It's easier for me to hit something with a mower and mow grass than it is to do a lot of weeding and gardening in a certain area. And I think I'm going to just let this area go back to being grass. I'm just going to keep that over there. I'm going to keep the azalea row right here. And I will keep this little area that I had over here. I had pumpkins, peppers, cushaws, and everything in here this year. But what you can't see is along this row, I also have daffodil bulbs. They bloomed and they did beautiful whenever daffodils come out. I can't remember when it was. But the bulbs are still down in there, and I know they'll come back next year. So I think I will do a little weeding in here and then maybe put a little more dirt in here to kind of hill up this row a little bit. And then just keep this. This is my pollinator row, which is kind of a big weed row right now and dried up flower stalks. But there again, my neighbor can hit it really quick with his disc. He disked it up for me last year. If I want him to, he can just pop this in 5 seconds this year. I've saved a lot of seeds out of here. I'm letting a lot drop to the ground. When he disked it, all they'll do is just come up next year. I really think a lot of this will just come back up next year. But I loved having this year. The spring of 2023, when we first started gardening here, that first spring we were here, I had no bees. I hardly had any pollination going on. It was just weird. There were no bees. And my neighbor said the same thing. He commented the same thing. This year, I made an effort to put out a lot of flowers. I had this whole flower row going. It was so gorgeous. And I had bees everywhere this year. So I'm definitely going to have him maybe hit this again and just till it up. I'm going to hit it with more flowers. I'm going to save some more seeds because there's a lot of dried ones on here now. I'm going to let it dry up a little bit more and then I'll get those off. And I'm just going to keep this pollinator row here because it's not that much for me to do. It's really no maintenance on it. I'm keeping most of all this growing area up here. I've got okra here right now. It had started not producing because of the heat, but now it looks lush and green again, so I'm hoping it'll keep on going. I've got pepper plants here, and I've also got a pepper plant in that little DIY thing I did down there last year. And all of it is still putting off peppers. I even have some mullein growing right there. I got that mullein plant from Azure Standard and it's hung in there and done really good. So I may get some more plants from them next year. And in my big sugar kettle, it's 4 foot wide, but I had to wrap it with chicken wire because of the squirrels. I grew field peas in this, but they're done. I pulled them out and believe it or not, I planted potatoes in here the other day. So the plants haven't come up, but I'm gonna definitely use this to grow potatoes. And even though it's not very attractive, I'm going to keep the chicken wire around it because of the squirrels. I would kind of love to pull up all these poles along this ramp, but I'm actually starting to weed right now. I started weeding there, and I'm fixing to go all the way down this row and weed. And I'm going to plant just green English peas, shelling peas. And I did that last year. They grew great here last year. They were handy right off my ramp for me to come out and harvest. So I'm going to do that again this year. It's just a matter of weeding, y'all. And some of this stuff, I have not minded at all, just ignoring it right now. It looks terrible. It just looks terrible, but it's just been too hot. But now the heat's breaking, I think. I think I'm getting a reprieve, and I've got to make hay while the sun shines. So the rest of it will look like this here shortly. Some of that dirt I'm going to take off of those other beds. I'm going to bring over here and mound this up a little bit more and get those peas planted. This bed to the left of my ramp is coming down. I grew some Gila Pima, winter squash in it. I've grown other melons in it last year. I grew hyssop, Annie's hyssop in it that was so beautiful, and it comes back on its own. I don't even have to plant it, but it's just one more bed to take care of. One more bed to have these ugly poles around and this chicken wire, and I think I'm just done with it. There's that bed I was talking about, and coming over here was the bed where all the magnificent Texacabuto squash and buttercup squash grew last year. It was just like a jungle, but this bed is coming down as well. I'm just going to let grass take my front yard over again. I'm going to use the dirt somewhere else, and I'm going to pull these poles up. I had no trouble with squirrels in 2023. So these poles were not out here in 2023. It was only after I planted things in 2024 that they started going crazy and digging up all my plants and eating my food and just driving me insane. And so I had to put up things like this to get through the season. I had already invested the time in starting the plants, and I didn't know what else to do. But I don't want this here permanently. So I'm just going to give this space back to the grass, and the squirrels are going to have just other areas that are going to be roped off they can't get into, and then they can just have the rest of my yard. I don't know what else to do. This front row has nothing planted here right now. It needs a little weeding, not much. It's not too bad, but not sure what to plant there that the squirrels won't take. though it's not really attractive, you know, none of this is attractive, but I went ahead and left this area with the chicken wire around it, and I've got potatoes planted all down here. A lot of people say don't plant potatoes in the same place year after year. I did have potatoes planted here in the spring, and they did wonderful. And because of the fact that it took so much work to put this chicken wire up, and because I had seed potatoes for the fall, I don't really care what people say. I'm just going to go ahead and grow them here. I planted them here. I'm going to grow them here for this fall, and I may reassess later. But for right now, this is the only area and the kettle that I had to put my potatoes. So I'm just going with it. I don't have anything growing, so it's hard to see, but I have an azalea branch thing there. And then I have just string for pole beans to grow on here. I'm just going to go ahead and leave all this because it's up, it's attached, and the squirrels don't tend to bother pole beans for some reason. They bother everything else, but not the pole beans. So I'll just grow as many pole beans as I can here. I'll probably plant some fall ones here shortly and just grow what I can on here and just leave this. The last area for me to address is this big corn patch, I call it. I grow all kind of stuff in it, but I call it a corn patch. And I've also got T-posts with wire down the side so that I can put half runners or whatever on there. It's got some leftover field pea debris in it and lots of little grass things. It's not extremely bad. It's bad, but not extremely bad. I could probably knock this out in a couple of days if I had a couple of days to get it done. That's just a big old tomato plant right there. I'm ready to kind of pull it up. I'm gonna let some of that reseed for next year. This back part isn't too bad. It's got a lot of dead debris, no big deal on that. I could just chop and drop all that. But it's really not too bad. But my thought process is this is going to be my main garden next year. I'm gonna have just one main garden. I'm gonna have that other smaller corn patch that my neighbor can disc up for me. And then I'm gonna have a few beds close to my house, along the ramp and along the house. And then that azalea row that's out on the other side of my driveway with a couple of little extra planting areas there. And then that might be it. For 2025, that might be it. It's going to take a lot of work to shut down some of these beds, move the dirt, and it's going to take work to weed this. I can't bring dirt to a bed that hasn't been weeded yet, so I'm going to have to weed first. But that's my goal. That's my goal, is to simplify. I'd rather walk over here to this one big bed and do a lot of work during the day than be walking all over my yard. I'd rather shut down some of these other beds, like this other one that's out by my trees. I've got it dismantled. I just have to pull the T-post up. I'd rather shut these down and haul extra dirt to those other areas, make them a little more lush, make them have some more soil, and just let the grass grow and kind of simplify. Right now, everything looks so rough, y'all, and it's not something I've been wanting to come out and film. It's not something I'm proud of, but it'll come around. It'll come around. And if I keep my goals in check as far as eliminating some of these beds and making life easier for me, I think in the end, I'll enjoy my property more. Sometimes you have some help and then you lose the help and you have to readjust and think of what you can handle. I'm gonna cut the camera off. I'm gonna work a couple of hours and see what I can get done. And then I'll just kind of show you if I've made any progress. It's just gonna take days and weeks for me to really make progress. May not be a whole lot interesting to show you, but hopefully I can change things around. I can turn things around and I can have me some peas growing this fall and some pole beans and other things growing this fall. And I'll feel a little bit better about it. This heat hopefully has broken, and hopefully I'll just start enjoying my yard again. It's really been a struggle the last few months. Really haven't felt like filming anything out here, but I'm gonna get back to it. I'm gonna get back in the ball game and get back on the saddle and get things done. All right, it's been exactly an hour and 15 minutes. I'm happy with my progress. I got this bed taken down. I'm going to get the golf cart in a second, and I'm going to come back and get these posts. But this is 4 posts. I'm going to count how many I've got all together. On the other side of the driveway, all I had left to do with this bed is pull up those 3 posts out of the ground. Got those. I could barely even do them the other day. That's why they were still there. That makes a big difference waiting until the ground is moist rather than trying to pull them up when the ground is hard. So today they just popped out very easily. So that's 3 more, that's 7. I got this bed taken down. I may not rush to take all this dirt out of here. I've got some eggplant plants that I planted late. They haven't given me anything, but they actually look like they had died. And then now after this rain, they're coming back and they're looking pretty good. So I think I'm just gonna leave them. I've got a few peppers down here that are starting to pop back and look green. And down here, a couple of more peppers, like 3 more pepper plants right there. And they might can end up doing something. And then there at the end, I've got an okra plant with actually an overgrown okra on it that's probably woody. But I'm gonna give these plants a chance to actually grow. I'll just pull out some of this debris and straighten things up and rake it out and weed it. But I may just kind of leave this here for a few more weeks. No big rush. But to keep my T-post count, I had 7, that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I pulled out 15 so far. Over here, I got the big winter squash bed pulled down. The hardest part was just getting all the debris off of the chicken wire because it was everywhere. But, so that's 16, 17, 18, 19 T-posts that I popped up so far. I'm gonna rake this out really good, steal some of the dirt to put other places, and then rake it flat and just let things grow over this. There may be a couple of plants I leave sticking up, but it's not a big deal. And I got this Gillipima bed taken down. That was 19 posts, I think, over there. 20, 21, 22, 23. So in an hour and a half, with my T-post puller, I pulled up 23 T-posts. Not a bad job. Now this is going to look scraggly around the edges there. What I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to go grab my push mower in a little bit and just run that over there, because somebody driving up wouldn't know that these T-posts were gone. They would just know I've got a really scraggly front yard there. So I may go take my push mower and do that, and kind of maybe go around that one too. It's always something to do, but an hour and 15 minutes. I can't believe that I got all that done, and that included taking things to the garbage can. I had to pull up stakes from the bottom of the chicken wire where I had the staple stakes driven in the ground, pop those up, went and put those away. And so I feel like I kind of did it, but did it in an organized way and accomplished something. It's hot. I'm gonna go inside, fix Richard some lunch. I'm gonna get the key to the golf cart and I'm gonna pull it around here after I fix him lunch, and I'm gonna pick up all 23 of these posts and go put them in my pile back there and kind of get the yard all cleaned up, and then I'll try to push mow. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give it another good hour of work. I have other things I have to do, so I can't stay out here for 5, 6, 7 hours. But if I got this much done in an hour and 15 minutes, I'm happy. And I'm gonna give it about another hour in just a little bit, because I really wanna start weeding some of these areas so that I can get the dirt put in them. I'll show at the end of that hour of work whatever else I got accomplished, and then I'm gonna call it a day today. This is just a simple video, but kind of just showing what you can get done in just a few hours, even if you've put it off, even if you just think you're overwhelmed. If you get a break, if you catch a little break in the weather, you catch a little break in your time or your schedule, just kind of get out there and you can get something accomplished, and then just start again. Just start again. You know, it's never too late to grow some food. It's never too late to get some gardening going. Just start again. Okay, I decided to come back out to the edge of my driveway and just go over it one more time. But boy, am I happy. Got all those posts taken down. Got everything done there. I think I've decided to rake up some of this dirt right here into more of a round pile and plant something there that would kind of anchor that area, that would differentiate between my driveway going this way and the driveway back there going that way. Some little something there. I would like to do a fruit tree, but my squirrels would probably love that as well. And it wouldn't do me much good to grow something if they're going to eat all the fruit off of it. But I want to think about it. But I'm thinking I might just rake that up in a circle and do something pretty. Another sugar kettle or something anchoring that would look pretty right there, but I'll have to think about it. Got that taken down, as I said. Happy with that. Hadn't done anything else with that. Over here, I got all those posts picked up, all the posts picked up everywhere, all 23 of them. And I decided to go ahead and just weed this one and weed this bed. And I will transfer some dirt later, but I'm going to leave a few of these pepper plants and stuff. They may just start coming back. And as long as, you know, sometimes we don't get frost till December, so I might could get a lot more peppers off of there, so I'm just going to leave them. So this one got done, and then I decided to just start mowing my yard. I got my push mower out to mow all the little grass that was around these areas where I had the T-posts and all. And I did that, and I mowed it and got it all done. Still got a little weeding to do on the dirt part, but got all that mowed, and then I just kept going. So I ended up pretty much trimming my whole front yard. And you can't convey it on camera a whole lot. I mowed all this over here too. You can't convey it on camera a whole lot, y'all. But you know what I'm talking about when I say when you get something accomplished and you get your yard kind of mowed and you get weeds pulled up. And for me, ugly T-post and white electric post things, got all those pulled up, and I just feel like a new person. And there's not going to be dirt spots for long. They may be there this winter, but they'll start really being covered up with grass this spring, and I'll kind of have some more of my front yard back, and I'm happy and I'm pleased. Well, I'll let y'all go. I'm fixing to go get a bath and clean up. A little over 2 hours of work was great. Made me feel so good. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I have to do. I just have to get out here every day or so and get something done until I take this yard back. And it's doable. It's doable. I just needed that break of the weather. Y'all have a great day, and I hope you're getting some things done on your place too. This is Lainey at Hilltop Home Place. Bye-bye.